Hi everyone, it's Miss Samantha and it is week 6 of summer reading, which means it's your final week to get all of your bingo spaces filled in. Now get these filled in and come check out the prizes here. Once you have 6 bingos filled out and you've gotten your 6 small prizes, you can put your name in the drawing for one of the large prizes, and we will be drawing for those next Friday. Not this Friday, next Friday. And we have lots of really cool prizes that we want to give those who are engaged in summer reading all summer long. This week, when you get your goodie bag, you are going to have a gourd in there that's connected to a string. It can be a necklace or a pendant. And you can decorate this gourd however you like. You can use any type of artistic medium that you want. Now, this can be a little scary because you have endless possibilities. And I thought that we could read a story today that helps us see what you can do with different mediums and how you can make art what you want it to be. This book is called Art and Max by David Wiesner. Careful, Max! Hey, Art, that looks great. Art and Max. The name is Arthur. I can paint too, Arthur. You, Max? Don't be ridiculous. All right. Just don't get in the way. Look how sad Max looked when he couldn't paint. But now, Arthur's giving him a chance. Oh, it looks like he's in the way. Arthur? What should I paint? Do you ever have that problem? What should you paint? Well, you could paint me. You? Really? Wait, what are you doing? I'm painting you, Max says. Painting on him. Ta-da! What do you think? This is preposterous. Oh, turn around. I think I missed a spot. Did you miss a spot? Painted him all the way. Oh, Arthur's getting very angry. Max! He's exploded with paint. Wow. Oh, Max. It's changed Arthur completely. What have you done? Well, let's see what happens if he blows the color off of it. Will that work? Maybe. I feel strange. Have a drink of water, Max says. I'll get you some more. Drink, 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 go. Ugh. What's happened to his painted body? It's gone away with the water. Do you know an artistic medium, a paint that does that? Watercolor does that. Hold on, Art. It's Arthur. Don't go. Where is he going? He's turned into, what does it look like? A drawing. Yes. Arthur? He's run all the way into a scribble of drawn lines. Aha! Okay, here goes. Here he tries. Putting him back together. Creating a drawing of him. More detail, I think. Do you think he needs more detail? More pointy bits like this. And how's that? Do we have more pointy bits? Is he looking a little bit more like Arthur? Acceptable, I suppose. But don't forget my foot. Come back here. You're not finished. Now what? Oh, what does Max have? Just hold still, Arthur. He's set the vacuum on and reverse vacuum, spreading what? All of that paint. Fascinating. Yes, yay. Let's paint some more. Look how interesting he looks now. Lots of little bits of color and paint to make his body. All right, Max, let's get started. And here is his final technique, Arthur's final technique. What's he doing? Throwing the paint. The end. That was Art and Max. I think that book showed us that we can use a lot of different art forms to create what we want. And none of them are ever right or wrong. So you can choose what's best for you. So you've probably found the gourd in your goodie bag, and I wanted to share some stories and books from different countries and cultures that are about gourds, the different ways that people in various cultures use them, and the stories that are told about them. This is a Bengali folktale, and it is called Grandma and the Great Gourd. It's retold, as often folktales are, by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. Here's Grandma and the Great Gourd. Once upon a time, in a little village in India, there lived an old woman whom everyone called Grandma. She loved gardening and had the best vegetable patch in the village. Grandma lived by herself in a little hut at the edge of the village, next to a deep, dark jungle. At times, she could hear herds of elephants lumbering on forest paths, thump, 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 or giant lizards slithering over dry leaves. She didn't mind because she had two loyal dogs, Kalu and Bulu, to protect her. They also helped her with chores. One day, Grandma received a letter from her daughter who lived on the other side of the jungle. Please come and visit me, she said. I haven't seen you in so long and I miss you. Grandma missed her daughter too and decided to visit her. She was a little scared about traveling through the jungle where so many fierce animals lived. But then she said, what's life without a little adventure? She packed her things and said goodbye to her dogs. Don't worry, boys, she told them. I'll be back soon. Don't forget to take care of my garden. Go, go, said the dogs. We won't forget. We'll chase away all the wild animals and we'll listen for you. If you are in trouble, just call for us. As Grandma was traveling through the jungle, she came upon a clever red fox. Ah, Grandma, he said, baring his pointy teeth and smacking his lips. How nice of you to arrive just when I'm so hungry. Grandma's heart went doop doop. She didn't let the fox see how scared she was. If you're planning to have me for breakfast, she said, that's a terrible idea. See how skinny I am? I'll be a lot plumper on my way back from my daughter's house because she's such a good cook. You can eat me then if you like. That sounds good, said the fox, and he let her go. Grandma walked deeper into the jungle. Cook, cook, cook. In a while, she came upon a shaggy black bear. Oh, Grandma, he said, flexing his claws and sharpening them on a nearby rock. How nice of you to arrive just when I'm so hungry. Grandma's heart went dum-dum, and she didn't let the bear see how scared she was. If you're planning to have me for lunch, she said, that's a terrible idea. See how thin I am? I'll be a lot more fat on my way back home from my daughter's house because she's such a good cook. You can eat me then if you like." "That sounds good," said the bear, and he let her go. Grandma walked into the deepest part of the jungle. Cut, cut, cut. Suddenly she came upon a sleek, striped tiger. "Ah, Grandma," he said, crouching low and swinging his tail. "How nice of you to arrive just when I'm so hungry." Grandma's heart went doom doom, but she didn't let the tiger see how scared she was. "If you are planning to have me for dinner," she said, "that's a terrible idea. See how bony I am? I'll be a lot juicier on my way back from my daughter's house because she's such a good cook. You can eat me then, if you like." "That sounds good," said the tiger, and he let her go. Grandma reached her daughter's house. She had a wonderful time there, playing with her grandchildren and telling the neighbors all about her adventures in the forest. She worked in her daughter's garden, watering, digging, and sprinkling the gourd with special fishbone fertilizer to make the vegetables grow so large that people from 3 villages came to admire them. She ate the delicious foods that her daughter cooked, and just as she told the forest animals, she grew quite plump. But Grandma missed her dogs. She wondered if they'd guarded her garden or if they'd let mice and birds eat everything up. Finally, she told her daughter, "It's time for me to go home. Kalu and Bulu are waiting for me, and so is my vegetable garden. The only problem is the tiger, the bear, and the fox are waiting too. And this time I won't be able to trick them with any words." "Don't worry," said the daughter. "We'll come up with a plan." The 2 of them went into the garden so they could think better. And when they saw the giant gourds, they knew exactly what to do. The daughter picked the biggest gourd she could see and hollowed it out. Grandma climbed inside the gourd. The gourd was quite comfortable because its walls were as thick as a mattress, and its rind outside was as tough as a rhino's hide. The daughter gave Grandma some puffed rice and tamarinds to eat on the way, and she stitched the top of the gourd back on tightly and sealed it with rice glue. "No one will see that it's you," she said. She took the gourd. There's Grandma in the gourd. She took the gourd to the edge of the jungle and gave it a strong push. The gourd began to roll down the jungle path. Gugger, gugger. In a while, the gourd reached the part of the forest where the tiger was waiting for Grandma. Because he had never seen such a large gourd, the tiger didn't know what it was. "What a strange creature!" he cried. He sniffed around the gourd because it was all sealed up, the tiger couldn't smell Grandma. She might get away. In a thin, high voice, Grandma chanted, "I'm just a rolling gourd singing my song. Won't you give me a push and help me along?" "I guess I could do that," said the tiger. "I wonder when the old woman's coming back, though. I'm getting terribly hungry." It rammed the gourd with its head and sent it bouncing down the path. Da-dum, da-dum, bounced the gourd. "Bop, re-bop," said Grandma. That was close. It was a good thing that the flesh of this gourd is so soft, or my bones would be shaking like stones inside of a rattle. And then she ate some of the puffed rice and tamarinds. The gourd is protecting her as it bounces down the path. In a while, the gourd reached the part of the forest where the bear was waiting. He, too, didn't know what the gourd was. "What a strange creature," he cried. He sniffed around the gourd, but because of the rice glue, he couldn't smell Grandma. Grandma chanted, "I'm just a bouncing gourd singing my song. Won't you give me a push and help me along?" "I guess I could do that," said the bear. "I wonder when the old woman's coming back, though. I'm getting terribly hungry." He gave the gourd a powerful swipe with his paw and sent it spinning down the path. "Cha-cha, cha-cha, cha-cha," spun the gourd. "Bop, said Grandma. "That was close." It was a good thing the walls of this gourd are so thick and strong, or by now I'd be so dizzy. And she ate some more of her puffed rice and tamarinds. The gourd rolled and bounced and spun until it was almost at the edge of the forest. Only a little while longer, thought Grandma. Just then the gourd reached the part of the trail where the fox was waiting for Grandma. "What's this now?" he cried, sniffing around the gourd. Grandma chanted, can you sing it with me? "I'm just a spinning gourd singing my song. Won't you give me a push and help me along?" But the clever fox said, 101 times I've sneaked into villages to steal chickens, but I've never seen a singing gourd. Something odd is going on here." He grabbed the top of the gourd with his sharp, pointy teeth, and he shook it back and forth until the rice glue cracked and the stitches broke off. Out Grandma fell. Dip, dip, dip. "I know." "Ah, Grandma," grinned the fox. "How nice and plump you look. Whatever were you doing inside the gourd?" "You caught me fair and square," said Grandma. "I guess you deserve to eat me up. But I have a request. Can I sing one last song before you start eating me?" "Oh, all right," said the fox, drooling a little bit. "Just don't make it too long." "Oh, I won't," said Grandma. At the top of her voice, she sang, "Calloo-boo-loo, toot-toot-toot. Calloo-boo-loo, come to me. Calloo-boo-loo, I need you." Back in the village, Kalu and Bulu heard Grandma's voice. They knew she was in danger, so quick as wind, whoosh, whoosh, they flew into the forest, fangs barred, growling horribly. They chased the fox away, scaring him so much that he never came back. They looked very scary. Grandma gave her dogs a big hug. "Thank you, boys," she cried. "You saved my life." "Go, go," said Kalu and Bulu modestly. "It was nothing." When she got back to her hut, Grandma was delighted to see that her garden was chock full of vegetables. Kalu and Bulu had done a good job while she was away. She picked the freshest ones and cooked a delicious pot of chitri with lentils, rice, cauliflowers, and peas, and shiny white potatoes as big as your fist. And together, they ate it all up. The end. Grandma and the Great Gourd. This book is called Calabash Cat and His Amazing Journey. And I wanted to read this one because a calabash is a general term for a gourd in most African countries and cultures. And this one is by James Rumford. At the end, we're going to read about why he wrote this story. Calabash Cat and His Amazing Journey. In the middle of Africa, there lived a calabash cat. There he is. One day, he set off down the road to see where the world ended. Where does the world end? I don't know. When the road stopped at the edge of the great desert, Calabash Cat sat down and thought, maybe this is where the world ends. Is that the end? Just then, a camel came by. He was surprised at how silly Calabash Cat was. Climb up on my back and I'll show you where the world ends. And they walked across the desert. Camels live in the desert, right? But when they reached the far side of the desert, where the grasslands began, the camel stopped and said, here, my friend, this is where the world ends. Calabash Cat would have believed the camel had a horse not come by. The horse was quite surprised at how small-minded the camel had been. Climb up on my back, and I will show you where the world ends. And they galloped across the grasslands. So the horse must be exploring the grasslands. But when they reached the far side of the grasslands where the jungle began, the horse stopped and said proudly, here, my friend, this is where the world ends. Do you think that's where it ends? We'll have to find out. Calabash Cat would have believed the horse had a tiger not shown up. The tiger was quite surprised at how full of nonsense the horse had been. Climb up on my back, the tiger says, and I will show you where the world ends. And they bounded through the jungle. But when they reached the ocean, the tiger stopped and said, as sure as she could be, here, my friend, this is where the world ends. But they're at the ocean. Does the world end at the ocean? Calabash Cat would have believed the tiger had a whale not called up from the waves. The whale was quite surprised at how wrong the tiger had been. Climb up onto my back and I will show you where the world ends. And they swam across the sea. Definitely a part of the world, the seas. But when they reached the other side of the ocean, the whale said without hesitating for 1 minute, here, my friend, this is where the world ends. Now, when Calabash Cat looked at the miles of land in front of him as he was in the ocean, he thought how small the whale's world must have been. Even the tigers and the horses and the camels' worlds. He wondered if he could ever see the end of the world. Do you think he could? Does everybody have a different view of the world, maybe? Their own small view, or perfectly sized view. Just then, an eagle swooped down. The eagle was quite surprised at how foolish everyone had been. Climb up on my back, and I will show you a world without end. Who has the biggest view of them all? Up they went into the great sky, and Calabash Cat's eyes grew wide with wonder as he flew around the world over oceans, jungles, grasslands, and deserts, back to his home. All of the animals and lands that he is seeing as he's on the bird's back. So that is the real view of the world. This is a little note about the author of this book and how he came up with this story. When I lived in the African country of Chad, I bought a beautiful calabash gourd cut in the shape of a cat. The artist who made it burned the designs into the gourd using a hot iron tool. One day I looked at my calabash cat and a story came into my head about a cat who sets off on a journey to find the impossible. I began to imagine other calabash animals that he would meet and started drawing. I also wrote down the story in the Arabic dialect of Chad because I thought that one day I might want to tell my Chadian friends this Calabash story. So here is the artist burning the calabash into the cat shape and design. And as we saw in the illustrations, the animals are also designed and a calabash made from calabash. And that is the end of Calabash Cat and his amazing journey. I thought those stories had a lot of repetition in them, which I find to be really fun in both stories and in the art that I try to make. And so I just wanted to show you my gourd that I created. And I just used white paint and did a lot of repetition of dots and lines. And so that's mine. And I can't wait to see your creations of your gourds and your pieces. So please bring them by the library if you'd like and have so much fun doing this activity. I'll see you guys next time. See you at the library.